You know that feeling when your head hits the pillow and suddenly your brain decides it's time for a full board meeting? What if I told you it's not random? There's a specific reason your mind spirals at night. And once you understand it, you can finally break free. Here's the truth. Your overthinking isn't worse at night because you're broken. It's worse because three specific mental loops activate when the world goes quiet. It's like your brain has been waiting all day for this moment to torture you with every worry, regret, and what-if scenario it's been collecting. Next time you're lying there at 2 a.m. replaying that conversation from 6 years ago, notice what's actually happening. Your mind isn't helping you solve problems. It's running the same three loops over and over. When you understand these patterns, you realize you have power over them. You can keep letting your nights be hijacked by mental chaos, or you can learn to interrupt the loops. Everyone knows someone who sleeps peacefully while you're awake, catastrophizing about everything. They're not lucky. They just know something you're about to learn. Chapter 1. The Problem-Solving Illusion. Your brain thinks it's helping, but it's not. I just need to figure this out, and then I can sleep. We think this like our nighttime thoughts are productive, but they're not solving anything. Here's the first mental loop that convinces you overthinking is problem-solving. But real problem-solving requires resources you don't have at night. Those moments when you're analyzing every possible outcome are exactly when you're least capable of clear thinking. When your friend doesn't text back and you spend an hour generating theories about what you did wrong, you're not gathering information. You're spiraling. Your boss seemed short with you today, and instead of resting, you're mentally rehearsing tomorrow's conversation, creating scripts for situations that might never happen. Pause and ask, what am I really doing here? Maybe you're confusing rumination with resolution. Suddenly, you're not solving problems. You're creating new ones. When you recognize this loop, you can stop mistaking mental spinning for mental progress. Nobody solves complex problems at midnight with incomplete information and a tired brain. Consider your last sleepless night. Were you solving or were you spiraling? Chapter 2. The Control Paradox. Fighting thoughts makes them stronger. What if trying to stop thinking actually makes it worse? Here's something that will blow your mind. The harder you try to control your thoughts, the more they control you. Your brain interprets "don't think about this" as "this must be important, keep thinking about it." So when you tell yourself, "stop overthinking," you're actually feeding the loop. When you're lying there thinking, I need to sleep, you're creating the exact anxiety that prevents sleep. You're not gaining control. You're losing it. Your mind wanders to tomorrow's presentation and you panic. Stop thinking about work. But underneath that command is resistance. What if I mess up? When you accept the thought instead of fighting it, a real shift happens. Okay, I'm thinking about the presentation gets a very different result than don't think about the presentation. When you learn to stop resisting your thoughts, you can finally let them pass. Acceptance dissolves what resistance amplifies. Reflect on how you typically handle nighttime thoughts. Are you accepting or fighting? Chapter 3. The Darkness Effect. Why nighttime changes everything. Between the moment you turn off the lights and when you fall asleep, there's a shift. In that shift lies the third loop. Most people don't even know it exists. Neuroscience shows this clearly. Darkness and isolation remove external distractions, making internal thoughts louder. Your worries aren't actually bigger at night. They just have less competition. Someone cuts you off in traffic during the day. You think they're rude and move on. The same level of rudeness replayed at night becomes evidence that everyone disrespects you and you'll die alone. But in the darkness, your perspective narrows. Everything feels more intense, more urgent, more catastrophic. That embarrassing thing you said becomes proof you're fundamentally broken. This amplification is the darkness effect. It's the difference between daytime concerns and nighttime catastrophes. Think about a worry that felt massive at 3 a.m. but manageable at 9 a.m. That's the darkness effect in action. Chapter 4. The Replay Trap. Why your brain keeps showing you the same movie. What if you could stop rewatching your mistakes on an endless loop? Inside you is a pattern that keeps dragging you back to the same memories. You can notice this pattern without being controlled by it. This pattern is your brain's misguided attempt at protection. It's the part of you that thinks if I replay this enough, I'll prevent it from happening again. Instead of learning, you're just suffering repeatedly. You said something awkward at lunch, and by bedtime, you've replayed it 40 times. Instead of either dismissing it or drowning in it, recognize the loop. My brain is replaying this to try to protect me, but I don't need to watch it again. Now you're observing the pattern instead of being trapped in it. From this space, you can choose to redirect your attention. The replay trap loses power when you see it for what it is. You can acknowledge what happened without endlessly reviewing it. Think about a memory your mind keeps serving up at night. You don't need another replay to learn from it. Chapter 5. The Future Casting Spiral. Anxiety disguised as preparation. What if you're planning for tomorrow is actually just borrowing tomorrow's problems? This perspective shift will change how you see nighttime worry. Every scenario you play out at night is anxiety pretending to be productivity. That job interview next week doesn't need 17 mental rehearsals tonight. That difficult conversation doesn't get easier by previewing it in the dark. Just like future casting creates the illusion of control over things you can't control yet, it keeps you stuck in hypothetical suffering. Your mind projects a disaster scenario about your relationship. Instead of thinking I'm just being prepared, try what am I actually accomplishing right now? Suddenly, this isn't about planning. It's about anxiety. You start responding with reality. I can't solve this tonight. And imagining outcomes isn't the same as creating them. When future casting becomes visible, you stop confusing worry with wisdom. Every imagined disaster becomes an opportunity to return to the present. Examine what you typically worry about at night. How much of it is actually happening right now? Chapter 6. The Exhaustion Amplifier. Why tired minds catastrophize. Your cognitive resources aren't infinite. They deplete throughout the day. Here's how mental fatigue turns small concerns into massive crises. Mental exhaustion is like a lens that distorts everything. It makes molehills look like mountains and manageable problems look impossible. A minor work email at 8 a.m. is just a task. The same email reviewed at midnight becomes evidence of your incompetence. Your partner seems quiet during the day and you think they're tired. The same quietness analyzed at night becomes their planning to leave you. Instead of recognizing you're exhausted, you believe the catastrophic interpretation. This isn't clear thinking. It's fatigue talking. Your friend cancels plans. Daytime response, they're busy. Nighttime response, they hate me and I'm losing everyone. You're not getting new information at night. You're processing the same information through a depleted, distorted filter. Questions that explore your mental state create clarity that catastrophic thinking never will. You can't think clearly when you're running on empty. Identify how your thoughts change based on your energy level. The pattern will shock you. Chapter 7. The Silence Problem. When external quiet creates internal noise. There's a difference between peaceful quiet and overwhelming quiet. One creates rest, the other creates chaos. Here's how to know what you're experiencing. Sometimes the absence of distraction isn't a gift. It's a trigger for your mind to fill the void with worry. This isn't weakness. It's how brains work in a world that's constantly stimulating them. During the day, you're moving, working, talking, consuming. Your anxious thoughts are there, but they're background noise. At night, there's nothing drowning them out. You're not just lying in bed. You're trapped alone with your loudest thoughts. Your day is full of meetings and tasks. Your anxiety about money exists but stays manageable. The moment you're alone in the dark, that same anxiety becomes deafening. What changed? Not the problem, just the absence of distraction. Silence reveals what busyness conceals. When you understand this, you stop thinking something is uniquely wrong with nighttime you. 5 minutes of silence at night can feel like 5 hours of mental assault. We've all experienced the relief of morning when the world wakes up and drowns out our worries. The mature approach is recognizing silence as a revealer, not a creator. Everyone experiences amplified thoughts in quiet darkness. Recall how different your mind feels during a busy day versus a quiet night. That's not you changing. That's context changing. Chapter 8. The Validation Loop. Seeking certainty you can't have. You wouldn't demand a weather guarantee for a year from now. So why expect your brain to provide certainty about things equally unpredictable? Here's how to stop seeking impossible reassurance. Certainty seeking isn't rational analysis. It follows a pattern. You ask yourself a question, generate an answer, then immediately question that answer and start over. When you chase certainty about uncertain things, you build anxiety instead of peace. Wondering will they like me is different than mentally interrogating yourself for an hour about every possible way they might judge you. Both start with uncertainty. One accepts it. The other spirals try to eliminate it. Knowledge is torture. When you demand certainty about inherently uncertain things, you stop resting and start suffering. Start noticing what questions your mind asks at night. Is this solvable now? Or am I seeking impossible reassurance? You'll start seeing patterns. I keep asking questions that have no current answers. Or I'm trying to predict things I can't control. When you know your pattern, you can interrupt it. Interruption transforms anxiety into acceptance. You become comfortable with uncertainty instead of tormented by it. Everyone wants guarantees about the future. Most people just don't understand that seeking them at midnight creates suffering, not solutions. Understanding this is mental freedom in action. Notice what certainty you're seeking that you can't have. That's your spiral starting point. Chapter 9. The Comparison Trap. Scrolling into inadequacy. You can observe others without diminishing yourself. You can see someone else's success without declaring your failure. Here's how to stop nighttime social media from becoming nighttime self-torture. Digital comparison means measuring your behind the scenes against everyone else's highlight reel. You can notice others' lives without using them as weapons against yourself. I saw someone's vacation photos, and now I feel like my life is meaningless. It's like being a detective gathering evidence of your own inadequacy. Your feed shows someone's promotion, someone's relationship, someone's perfect body. Instead of scrolling past, you lie there cataloging everything you lack. You're not staying informed. You're volunteering for suffering. Comparison skill preserves self-worth that would otherwise slowly die from accumulated digital wounds. Unexamined scrolling becomes self-harm. Everyone knows someone who stopped nighttime social media and sleeps better. That's not coincidence. It's cause and effect. Consider how you feel after nighttime scrolling. Is it connection or comparison? Chapter 10. The Morning Perspective. Why daylight changes everything. You're not responsible for solving everything tonight. You're responsible for resting so tomorrow you can think clearly. Create the conditions for sleep. Let tomorrow handle tomorrow. Here's how to become someone who trusts the morning. Every time you spiral at night, remember an invitation to yourself. This will look different in the morning, and morning me has better resources than night me. These are facts, not wishful thinking. What if your nighttime panic always feels ridiculous in daylight? Not because the concern isn't real, but because you're not equipped to handle it at midnight. The trust you build in morning perspective determines your nighttime peace. Your mind races about a decision. Night version, this is urgent and catastrophic. Morning version, let me look at this with fresh eyes and actual energy. Result, better decisions and actual rest. Same concern, different timing, completely different capability. When you become conscious of the morning shift, you stop trying to force nighttime solutions. You become the conscious creator of your own rest. Knowledge without practice is just information. Here's how to turn these insights into actual peaceful nights. This is where insomnia transforms into rest. Integration happens through consistent practice, not perfection. Start with one technique. When you notice the problem-solving illusion, remind yourself this isn't productive, it's rumination. When you catch future casting, return to right now. Each time you choose to interrupt a loop, you're rewiring your nighttime patterns. For the next week, pick just one loop to interrupt. Maybe the control paradox. Every time you fight a thought, practice accepting it instead. That's it. By week 2, this will start becoming natural. Small, consistent changes create massive transformations over time. The person who sleeps peacefully isn't born different. They just learn to recognize and interrupt the loops. You can too. Everyone wants to stop overthinking at night. Now, you have a roadmap to break the 3 mental loops. Think about who you'll be when peaceful nights replace anxious ones. That person is waiting for you,